Have you ever wondered why we seem to want what we can't have? It's a complex dance of desire, scarcity, and social comparison that choreographs this human tendency. We find ourselves yearning for the unattainable, the scarce, the extraordinary. Like moths to a flame, we're drawn to the glow of perceived value, a beacon that seems brighter the more out of reach it is. This allure of the elusive stirs up a whirlpool of dissatisfaction and frustration within us. It's a paradox, really. The harder we try to grasp it, the more fervently it dances away. And all the while, this pursuit, this chase of the ethereal often blinds us to the treasures we already possess. It's like we're in a room filled with gold, but we're so fixated on the diamond just beyond our reach, we forget to appreciate the wealth we're standing in. But this chase of the elusive often blinds us to the treasures we already possess. Isn't it strange how quickly we grow disinterested in what we have? This phenomenon, known as hedonic adaptation, is a peculiar quirk of human nature. We possess this remarkable ability to adapt to both positive and negative changes in our lives. Consequently, this adaptation leads to a decrease in the intensity of our emotional responses over time. Imagine the thrill of getting a new smartphone. For a while, it's the most fascinating thing in the world, but give it a few months, and that initial excitement fades. Suddenly, it's just another gadget. This is hedonic adaptation in action. This same principle applies to everything we experience, from our personal relationships to our professional achievements. Over time, the things we once found exciting or satisfying start to feel mundane. We begin to take them for granted, leading to feelings of boredom or apathy. While we're losing interest in what we have, we're also overly focusing on what we lose. Do you find yourself dwelling more on losses than celebrating gains? This is a common experience rooted in a cognitive bias known as loss aversion. It's the preference most of us have to avoid losses over acquiring equivalent gains. Imagine losing $100 versus finding $100. The sting of the loss often feels more potent than the joy of the gain. This is because losses have a greater emotional impact, tugging at our heartstrings and echoing in our minds. This fixation on loss can lead to rumination, where we repeatedly mull over past losses like a record stuck on replay. This rumination keeps us anchored in the past, hindering our ability to appreciate the present. It's like trying to drive forward while constantly looking in the rearview mirror. This fixation on loss, disinterest in what we have, and longing for what we can't have forms a vicious cycle that affects our well-being and societal dynamics. So how do we escape these human habits that are so deeply embedded, you may wonder? To start, let's discuss self-awareness. This involves becoming acquainted with our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It entails understanding the reasons we yearn for what we lack, why we lose interest in what we possess, and why we overestimate loss. Identifying these patterns is the first step in overcoming them. It's akin to illuminating a dark room. Suddenly you can see what was always there, hidden away. Now let's explore the concept of mindfulness. It's not an elusive idea only for monks in secluded monasteries. It's a practical tool accessible to everyone. Mindfulness means living in the now, not dwelling on the past or fearing the future. It's about observing our thoughts and emotions without judgment. When we feel the pull of yearning for the unattainable, mindfulness allows us to recognize the feeling, then let it go. It assists us in appreciating our present circumstances rather than longing for something different. Then we must consciously work towards nurturing gratitude, contentment, and resilience. Gratitude involves recognizing the positives in our lives. It's about shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have. It's a potent cure for the longing for the unreachable. Contentment, conversely, is about finding satisfaction in our current possessions rather than incessantly seeking more. It's about understanding that joy doesn't stem from accumulating more, but from appreciating what we already possess. Lastly, resilience. Life is a series of highs and lows, wins and losses. Resilience involves bouncing back from adversities, learning from them and moving forward. It's about understanding that loss is an inherent part of life, but it doesn't shape our existence. Overcoming these deeply ingrained human habits is tough and doesn't occur overnight. It necessitates patience, practice, perseverance. However, the benefits make it worthwhile. It leads to a more fulfilling life marked by peace and satisfaction, as opposed to continuous striving and dissatisfaction. So let's review. To escape the desire trap, the fading satisfaction, and the burden of loss, we must nurture self-awareness, practice mindfulness, and consciously foster gratitude, contentment, and resilience. It's a journey, not a destination. And like all journeys, it starts with a single step. So make that first move today. Begin nurturing self-awareness, practicing mindfulness, and fostering gratitude, contentment, and resilience. And remember, it's not about achieving flawlessness, it's about progressing one step at a time. Bear in mind, satisfaction is not in the pursuit of the unreachable, but in appreciating what we already possess. I trust you found today's Mindset Minute enlightening. If you did, join our podcast and follow us on our social media platforms. Remember, to achieve your highest potential, you must invest in your best self. The Architects of Excellence is a community for those with similar mindsets, entrepreneurs, and those who desire the best that life can offer. If that describes you, you're in the right place. We look forward to assisting you, whether as an executive or life coach, mentor, business wellness consultant, or merely as friends amongst friends. So hit that like button, subscribe, and see what we have in store for you tomorrow. Begin writing your new life story with us today, and welcome to the Architects of Excellence community.